Heavy, reduce speed to 200. Maintain 170 knots, not increase on that. 200.
Skyline 5371, turn right heading 220, intercept 24 right localizer.
70 knots, and I'm here for the approach.
Actually, that's something that I've wanted to do almost all my life. I've always had a fascination with flying and planes and small planes, to the extent that when I would see them, just either when I was near the airport or see them flying around, I would look up at them and think, wow, that just looks like fun. Actually, it's kind of a funny story. What happened was my wife knew that I wanted to start flying. So she bought me an introductory flight for our anniversary, and that's what got this whole thing started. The instructor that I used was, again, somebody that my wife had heard of. She knew somebody that knew him, so she got in touch with him through these other people and set up that initial introductory flight. And because he's an instructor, then afterwards I continued to use him for the process. Well, in fact, the pricing turned out to be a little bit better than some. And what we did is we had to rent planes from somewhere. He doesn't have his own plane to fly, so he had a connection with a school that he could rent their planes to use for teaching. So I would rent the planes through the school, and then I would pay him for the instruction. There is a medical requirement also, and there's even some time periods related. If you're under 40 years old, then it's every 5 years. But if you're over 40, it's every 2 years. It's the freedom of it, just getting up, getting off of the ground, getting up into the sky. Getting up, kind of around the clouds type of thing. Although if it's, a beautiful day with no clouds, that's even better. But just getting up in the sky, getting above the ground, getting that view and perspective. But there's also something else that happens is you get places really fast. And it's amazing how almost close together by air everything is. You just go straight there, and you can. And you can, if the visibility is good on a certain day, you can see things far away. Just once you're up in the air like that. So it's a different perspective on everything, and all of it's just great. So what I have now is I have my private pilot's license, and there's actually some lower licenses you can get. There's a sport, a recreational license, something along those lines. That you can get, but I have my private pilot's license, and it allows me to fly pretty much anywhere under what's called VFR, or visual flight. The R stands for rating, but visual flight conditions. Okay, so I'm not allowed to fly in the clouds. I can fly above the clouds or below the clouds within certain minimums, but I'm not allowed to fly in the clouds. You have to have an instrument rating for that, and that's actually the next step up from a private pilot's license. Is then you would go for an instrument rating. I do plan to go for my instrument rating at some point. There's certain cross-country time requirements that you have to have before you can get your instrument rating. So part of the flying that I'm doing now, I'm building time, even though that's not really my purpose. Right now I'm flying just to have fun and enjoy it, but at the same time I am building some time. Aside from that, then the instrument rating, that's the next step up. After that, there's a commercial rating. Okay, and you have to have a commercial rating if you intend to fly anybody for pay. We're going to turn on the power. We turn on the power, bring the flaps all the way down. Okay, we check the fuel. Just checking the surfaces, making sure they look clear, free of damage, anything like that. Now we're going to look at the ailerons.
All right, the ailerons, we're looking for some specific things. Number one, the movement on it. And number two, we're checking that the bolts and the nuts and everything that hold it on are there. Okay, there's also 3 counterweights on it. And we have the rod that controls it. We make sure that it's attached and that there's a little bit of play in it. Okay, and on each one of these, we make sure that we have 4 bolts and 4 nuts and the pins holding it in. We come over to our flaps, and on that, we just check the rod that controls it. All right, we work our way towards the tail of the plane, also called the empennage, and we just look again to make sure everything looks clean and clear. We also look back at the front of the plane. We're looking now at the flaps and everything, make sure everything's symmetrical, looks like it's in the right place. And in here we have a couple of cables and nuts that we're just going to check to make sure that they're in place, and they've got a locking pin holding them in place as well. And we move them up and down a little bit just to make sure it moves free and clear. Okay, now we come under. We also check the 2 nuts and bolts that hold the cables for the rudder as well. And while we're back here, we go ahead and untie. We're holding it on in the back. Okay, now we work our way back around the other side of the tail. Okay, again, just checking to make sure everything looks clean and damage-free. And this is the lowest point on the engine. Okay, and again, we're just checking to make sure there's no impurities. Okay, we check the color on it to make sure everything there looks okay. And we go back up, and we're gonna go ahead and recycle it. And we pour it back in. Even the commercial pilots and your airliners, they all have checklists that they go through and make sure that they've covered everything that they need to do. Okay? So I'm just going to kind of go through here and make sure that we've done everything. Okay, so we all got our seat belts and harnesses and everything in place, right? Got your seatbelt on in the back?
Yes.
Clear prompt. All right, so as soon as we get the engine going, first thing we do is we check our oil pressure, make sure we got oil pressure. All right, we keep the RPMs down, give it a chance to warm up. All right, we're gonna bring our flaps up. We're gonna go ahead and lean the mixture out a little bit, getting ready to idle out. And we start turning on our radios. So you can go ahead and put your headset on now.
My name's Tim Schmelzer. I'm a professor at Miami-Dade College for 18 years, a professional pilot for 35 years. And I hold my commercial license, and I'm a flight instructor, instrument instructor, and a multi-engine instructor. Miami-Dade College offers 2 degrees, one in aviation administration and the other one in professional pilot technology. I teach in both degrees, and in the professional pilot technology course, I teach commercial pilot theory, private pilot theory. I teach courses like aviation safety and physiology and psychology of flight. To be a student pilot, you have to be 16 years old, and to get the private pilot license, you have to be 17 years old. To be a commercial pilot is 18 years old. if you're an international student, to come into our program, you need insurance. However, if we're talking strictly about the flight training, yes, they would have to have some form of insurance, and usually that's provided by the flight school itself. And they would also recommend that you carry your own insurance, but that's it's not very costly at all. The Professional Pilot Technology program is an associate science degree, and it's 2 years. And during that 2 years, you would be getting your private instrument commercial and a multi-engine or CFI, which is a certified flight instructor license. And for in-state residents, it's about $45,000. Out of states, it's about $55,000. Okay, this is a brand new Redbird simulator, and it's set up as a multi-engine airplane right now, but because it's such a modern simulator, we can transpose this or transition this into a single-engine airplane as well. And so these simulators are $100,000, and this is all a student would ever need. They can apply a lot of the training from this to their private license. A lot of the training for their instrument rating can come from here, and a lot of the training in their commercial license can come right from here without ever getting into the airplane. We also have some other simulators by the same company called Redbird. It's based in Texas. It's really taken a big share of the market. And the simulator behind us is a full motion simulator. In other words, when you turn, the machine turns and so forth. It gives you quite a bit of a feeling of flying. However, it's my strong opinion that for primary training, this is all you need, and this is, even as you progress, this is more than enough. But some people like the bells and the whistles to get into those fun ones, and it feels like you can really have feelings that you are moving. Like most schools use the Cessna as the trainer. It's a Cessna, two-seat Cessna, either a Cessna 152 or a Cessna 172. If they do their multi-engine training, it's going to be probably a Piper Seminole. Well, when they graduate from our program, they have got a commercial license, which is approximately 250 hours. In order to get a job with a regional airline, it's going to take 1,500 hours. So almost all of them, like Mohammed, end up picking up their flight instructor rating and become a teacher and building their time by being a teacher.
Whiskey Juliet, contact Los Angeles Tower 120.